Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Today is June 18th, 2024. Welcome to the Board of County Commissioners. We'll convene this meeting. We are in 112 A Street, Cripple Creek, Colorado. This wonderful summer morning. Well, I think we're going to have some winds today, but otherwise we shall get started with our county commissioner meeting. And we'll lead off with Mr. Commissioner Williams leading us in the invocation, and our treasurer, public trustee, Crystal Bowman, will lead us in the pledge.
All right, guys. Heavenly Father, thank you for another opportunity to serve the citizens of this county. Lead till we can and to follow where we must. Pray for the peace in the world that continues to elude us, but pray in any case. In his name, amen.
Yes, to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for doing that. Our next agenda items, we have minutes from our last meeting of June 6th, 2024.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I do have one correction that I found.
Sure.
Halfway down on the first page, page 1 on accounts payable, I did make the motion. That motion was to approve the accounts payable run date June 2024. I had stated in the amount of $1,166,822.43. We all voted and approved that. Actually, thanks to our clerk recorder, thank you, Stephanie. It was actually $266,822.43. So nothing wrong, but we just want to make sure that we get this correct.
And that is noted in writing on the minutes. So I didn't have any notes or corrections.
I did not either, Mr. Chair.
All right, do we have a motion?
And Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the minutes of the proceedings, Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, dated June 6th, 2024, as corrected.
Second motion, Mr. Chair.
Assuming no other discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, Mr. Campbell.
Yes. And then next up, we have this meeting's accounts payable run. Dated June 13th, 2024. I'd just like to note a couple of the big ones. Obviously, it's a sales tax cycle, so we have $415,060.19. And we have a couple of smaller ones for gravel for our bridge, and then we have another one for Page Construction, who is our contractor doing a lot of building and construction on our facilities, including the fairgrounds. If you have anything I would note.
Yeah, I would think that's true.
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Sure, I make a motion that we approve the accounts payable dated June 13th, 2024. The amount of $1,011,335.04.
Second.
All right, thank you. Assuming no other discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Stone.
Yes.
Mr. Williams. Mr. Campbell.
Yes. All right, next up, we have board reports, and as usual, we'll start with Commissioner Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And getting into summer is kind of an interesting time, post legislative time. It's a lot of time for planning, planning for next legislative sessions, and planning amongst different boards. But this past week, attended Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments, which of course primarily deals with transportation and issues around aging, as that is our AAA, or the Area Agency on Aging. And there were a couple of issues that kind of came up that we're working through. And one of those was within grants coming from the state and which are federal grants flowing through the state to PPACG, and then flows through PPACG to agencies such as Teller County Senior Coalition and others, is they're starting to get tagged on, or at least the hint of being tagged on, mandatory DEI training for anybody that receives any of those funds. We're not sure if that's flowing to the federal level, if it's flowing to the state level, could be both. But most of these organizations, and the issue that we're going to run into, other than how you regardless of how you feel about DEI training, is that these organizations rely on volunteers. And when you have a significant number of volunteers and then you're telling them they have to come in and do a mandatory half-day training on anything, much less something that they may disagree with the general tenets of, and the structure that we saw that I would not have agreed with being implemented anywhere in Teller County. So we are objecting to that. Now we're delaying any implementation through PPACG of that. And it's the right and appropriate thing to do because we don't want to put these organizations into a situation where they're going to lose volunteers. So we're working on that. The other thing we met and talked about was a change of the bylaws of both PPACG in regards to our legislative committee, which I currently co-chair along with Green Mountain Falls Mayor Todd Dixon. During the legislative session, with the way that the current rules and bylaws are set up within PPACG, we can vote, but on a position to take on a bill. But then if there's any single member of PPACG that objects with the position that we have taken as a committee, then it goes to the full board of PPACG for a vote, which then requires a special meeting. So we have to post, it takes days, just like this board, we have to, yes, be properly posted as a public meeting. But the rate at which the legislature moves late in session made it nearly impossible for us to take positions because any one member of PPACG could say, no, I object to that position. And now we're in paralysis. And our lobby team and even us going and testifying, we can't even say that we're representing PPACG because we haven't yet taken an official position. So we're proposing a bylaws change, which sets a minimum number of people that would have to be present at a legislative committee meeting for us to take a position. And once that minimum standard has been met, that'll be the position, and then any position will be ratified at the next PPACG meeting. So they aren't going to be able to, to have a small number of people take a position and the board do nothing. The board still has to ratify, but it will give us the flexibility, which I think is going to be really critical. As we saw in this last session, we had 705 bills that went through, and I believe that in the last 2 weeks, they passed 300 of them. So it was, quite an avalanche of activity that we needed to be able to respond to in a very nimble way. So we didn't hear about any major pushback from that, so I do anticipate that bylaws change will be approved. We also did get a lot of updates on our transportation projects that are going on throughout the Pikes Peak region and Park, Teller and El Paso counties. Big ones that are going to affect people in Teller County are currently already happening, and you've probably already seen a bunch of them. There's currently a drainage project going on up on Highway 67 on the north side of Woodland Park, where they are necking down the one lane, and you'll see that they've removed all those side drainage areas are all being redone, and then that the road might be widened a little bit there and an additional turning lane put in somewhere within that area. So that's a project that is ongoing. I also did receive confirmation that this fall, the balance of Highway 24, hopefully in Teller County, from where they stopped west of Edlow Road on Highway 24 and resurfacing, they're putting out to bid this October to continue that resurfacing from the point where they stopped as far as they can get for the money, and they're hoping that will take them all the way to Florissant. But we'll see where the bids come in on that. So those are the two big projects for the area that they are going to be working on. The resurfacing of 67, though, which was previously slated to have happened this summer, did not get a successful bid. Those numbers came in high, so they pulled the bid. They're going to put it back out again this fall and hope that it gets picked up this fall for next year with a higher budget. So they're going to be in there patching and working on 67 to try to hold that together one more year. It's going to be a couple of years behind schedule, but those are the ones that they're currently working on. One other comment I'd like to make, and it's not related to the job directly, but for those who've been watching the news, there's a massive wildfire going on down in Ruidoso, New Mexico. I have family down there, but also just as you look at it, that area of New Mexico looks an awful lot like Teller County. It's heavily forested. You have some areas where you have some absentee ownership, just like what Teller County does, and they have a lot of Airbnbs. They have a lot of tourism that takes place because it's kind of the closest mountainous area to West Texas. But that entire city of Rugoso has now been evacuated because of wildfires, and just want to send a huge note of awareness and caution to all of our residents and to all of our visitors, should information be able to get out to our visitors, that we need to be really fire wise during this time. It's been pretty hot the last few days. We had red flag a couple days ago, orange flag today, and it's not just that it's dangerous to burn during red flag and orange flag days, it's that those winds dry everything out. It's even though the winds go away, as the result of those red flag days are that we get drier and drier with each day with no rain and each day with more wind. And it just, we've had a lot of great moisture, and it doesn't seem like that long ago. We had a really nice rainstorm, but winds come up and that rain just, the benefit of the rain goes away. So everybody just take extra care, make sure you do your mitigation work around your properties. And so just wanted to raise that attention, and that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Stone. Commissioner Williams.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it. Now, Eric mentioned something I was going to bring up, but while we were sitting here, we get the smoke warnings all the time, and we got one out today. So we'll be having a wildfire council meeting in the upcoming weeks, and we've got a lot of mitigation going on. So appreciate that, Eric. It was really a good reminder. So staying in that vein, first, Bob mentioned expenditure today on our accounts payable for the fairgrounds. So happy to say that all three commissioners and Ross Herzog, led by our Public Works Director, Fred Clifford, went and looked at some of the construction that's ongoing at the fairgrounds. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty eye-watering. Finally, after all these years, we've husbanded some resources. We have some big plans, but for this year, if you go over there, you'll see the grandstands going up and see some ADA compliance, lots of sort of close in work or band-aids really on the old building, even though we have some plans for a new building. And that's Page Construction doing a great job. It'll be a new flagpole, a 40-footer, a big monument to 125 years. And so that's what those kids deserve, the agricultural rancher lifestyle. So I appreciate Ross, your leadership in that and leading us all over there. And I think we spent about an hour over there last week. Second, the commissioners had a ride along with our new code enforcement officer for about 6 hours. And I will tell you that, I used to do that when I was the plan director. There's some things that are out of control in Teller County. So you can expect to see through the press some articles coming out. We have some significant trespass on public land that will be addressed with BLM, almost criminal trespass from what we saw. We actually walked the ground. Lots of folks with junkyards. As a reminder, we don't have junkyards in Teller County. Now it's tongue in cheek because you can see 10 of them within 5 miles of this city. So they'll be getting letters as well. So renewed code enforcement, and our code enforcement officer is he's not the bad guy. He's a good guy. We watched him personally talk to citizens and residents and just trying to make sure things stay on heel, especially as we get more and more folks. So more to follow on code enforcement, but I appreciate the commissioners going and Ross for setting that up. And our CDSC director was along as well. And we went to Rhyolite in a couple places that he hadn't seen before. And so he's now seen it. Aspen Mine Center, in terms of boards, I'll just stick it on a couple of close ones, Mr. Chair. Aspen Mine Center, community caring continues to do great work towards realizing a child care center here. And so that's probably their #1 goal. And the things are looking really good there. And I do sit that board. Recently, CPW, we completed a strategic plan. I sit the CPW Wildlife Council, which is why we moved the hearing till today, because Thursday I'll be back up in Denver, but it's a pretty short document. Maybe 20 pages. I just reviewed the final draft yesterday, but essentially it's a realization that the demographics in Colorado are changing. Less people hunt and fish today than they did when the 3 of us were kids. There's a lot more of the population in the Denver metro area that don't have opportunities to hunt and fish. So CPW Council tries to present those opportunities, tries to get our kids. If you saw yesterday, the Surgeon General put out a warning about social media and said that our children now are spending 5 hours a day on these little boxes. I'd like to see them hunt and fish a little bit. And so that's what this strategic plan does. And so it's statutory, and you'll start seeing, a lot of advertising. On the downside, I'll get an update and brief the public when we come back again. But I still believe that the Wildcat Cougar position to put that on the ballot for decision doesn't have enough signatures yet. We'll see, but we'll get a briefing as well. So I'll report back on that. CASA, of course, appointed special advocate. Again, sadly, we're seeing record numbers of abuse and our children. And again, I said that for the executive level, and different levels of governance through Teller County and El Paso. The good news is we have a record number of volunteers and CASA trained folks. And so they're getting one-on-one care, but hopefully we can change that. And finally, flags. This week, the flag I'm talking about is the American flag. So we had there's a ceremony that's 100 years old that the Legion does with the VFW. This year we had over 2,000 American flags turned in. And so kudos to Teller County for having 2,000 flags. There's a lot more than that probably, but that was eye-watering. And the fact that people drove all the way to Woodland Park throughout the year to bring us their tattered flags. And so along with the VFW, the American Legion, and all of our scout troops, we do what's called the dignified disposal of those flags. Most of us just don't feel right throwing them in the trash can or landfill. That's just not right. So, so thanks for you participating in that. With that, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. We've been busy on some of our boards and committees I serve on. We've had 2 CTSI, which is the insurance company that the county group runs, and actually may have some movement on that building that CCI actually owns part of and CTSI owns. But we'll see where that goes. But we've had a couple of meetings working through that because it's been a long-term decision that we need to dispose of that building and let somebody else take it over because it's really old and it's becoming costly, and let alone CTSI as an insurance company really isn't into process of being a landlord, let alone can't find tenants to fill that building. So we've been working a lot on that. Got to meet with executives from the Pikes Peak Workforce Board last week. Tracy Marquez was up here, and former Commissioner Clark Becker, which is our one-stop operator, sort of a liaison position with the federal government, and got to catch up with them and worked through some issues of just everyday management of that thing. And the other one, I'd like to send out our kudos to our HR folks and a few of the others that helped on last week's countywide picnic. We hosted an event out there at the Sourdough Ranch and had a new concept of, instead of having a single caterer, we had some food trucks that were at our beckoning, and it was a great success. We had lots of people there. The weather messed around with us a little bit, but they were short briefings, and the weather went away about as fast as it came. But it was a good event. I'm happy that all the employees got the chance to come out and mix with each other and just have a good family day, and it was well attended, and we sold out all 3 of those food trucks. And they were worried that they were gonna have enough sales because there was 3 of them, and we sold all 3 of them out. So I think they would be happy with that final conclusion. But thank you for the HR folks that was involved and everybody else that helped organize that. It was a good event last Friday. So and with that, I don't know, I'm busy on lots of things, but I'll be off for a couple of weeks to actually take a vacation. So other than that, I think I'll conclude my board report. And we'll move on to elected officials. Carol Kittison, our assessment, your report.
Nothing today, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Crystal Brown, our treasurer, in your report.
I have no report today, sir.
All right. Stephanie Keys, our clerk and recorder. You're not in the middle of anything right now, are you?
No, I'm just kidding. So a week from today is election day. So far, we have just a little under 10% of ballots returned, which is a little disappointing so far. So hopefully we get a big push this week. We have judges starting today processing ballots at Election Central. So, and the vote center is open. So Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, Saturday, 8 to noon, closed on Sunday, and election day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I also just want to give an update on our fraud guard for our property transfers. We're still working with the vendor, so I hope to get that implemented soon. And I will let everyone know when that is available. That's all I have.
Sure.
I just wanted to compliment you, as we always do, on a great election so far. 10% is just because people dragged their feet till the last week and otherwise remind us, et cetera. But what I will tell you is we haven't had any complaints. I've been to all 3 sites just to kind of watch from the distance, talk to a few people as they left, and the ballot tracks that people looked at. So we're in one case, we received it, we counted it, and it's just kind of neat to see that in small county. So that's all. I know all work you've done.
Sure.
I got just one question, if you don't mind. What's a typical turnout for a primary? Because this is a primary. So sometimes primaries don't always get the same interest as a general
For a
election.
state primary, I would say 60% maybe.
I know it varies from time to time. I was just wondering in general. Thank you. All right, I think that's for elected officials report. We'll move on to Mr. Herzog, our county administrator.
Thank you, sir. So we did talk about the fairgrounds, very excited over there to get, seeing the work get done, the grandstands, flagpole's gonna be amazing over there. Florissant Park, the community park, that's underway, so that's still closed off. I know, hoping to get over there this week just to see some of the progress, but last I saw was a lot of dirt work being done. Equipment coming in, so, still on schedule with that. The roads, so later today, you're gonna hear from Public Works with our annual road maintenance and improvement plan. That will set the stage of where in the community you're gonna start seeing delays as we work on some of the roads, so we'll get ahead of that. Otherwise, just wanna give great thanks to everyone with staff that contributed to a wonderful picnic and help celebrate 125th year at Teller County. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we have time reserved for our department heads and directors. I don't actually see directors at the moment. All right, then we'll move on to our 9:45 item. Time reserved for the public without an appointment. People that do not have items on the agenda today. All right, might be a late day today. Contributions from everybody. 9:50, I think we're within our time limit. We have several public resolutions we need to go through, so. Mr. Herzog, consider resolution to amend 2024 department fund budgets.
This one is larger than the ones coming up.
Still the lights, still the lights.
This is resolution number 06-18-2024. Number 20 is a resolution to amend the 2024 general road and bridge, jail enterprise, fleet management, and DSS fund budgets. Whereas in the past, the county has recognized significant savings from employment turnover that the Board of County Commissioners could consider for use in other areas. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners has directed staff to make a monthly budget adjustment by transferring personnel related funds from individual departments to holding departments within each fund as personnel budget needs are reduced, and from holding departments to individual departments as personnel budget needs increase within county policy. And whereas funds budgeted in the above referenced holding departments, which have been added to each fund as personnel contingency departments ending in the numbers 2190, are not appropriated nor available for expenditure and are only accessible by resolution of the Board of County Commissioners, transferring them to the departmental budget accounts. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners hereby finds, determines, and declares that adoption of this resolution is necessary for the preservation and protection of the public health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of Teller County, Colorado. Now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, Colorado, that the departmental budgets of personnel contingency department accounts be decreased as follows, and I'll summarize by fund. General fund, $677,326. Road and bridge, $102,002. Jail enterprise, $286,089. Fleet management, $39,015. Social services fund, $63,739. And that the departmental budgets and personnel contingency department accounts be increased as follows. And again, I'll summarize by fund. General fund, $677,326. Road and bridge fund, $102,002.
Jail enterprise, $286,089. Fleet management, $39,015. Social services fund, $63,739. And that the amounts appropriated for expenditure be reduced and increased accordingly, adopted at the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, Colorado, this 18th day of June, 2024.
Thank you, sir. As explained in the resolution, this is our monthly budget adjustment for what we nomenclature we call scooping. Payroll dollars that haven't been used because of job openings, et cetera. So any questions? No, sir. Great. What would be your, I'm sorry, we need to open this up for public comment. Any public comment on this resolution? All right, hearing none, what would be your choice on this resolution?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve resolution number 06-18-2024, number 20, a resolution to amend the 2024 general road and bridge, jail enterprise, fleet management, and DSS fund budgets, and have it attached to the written minutes to show the details of the budget adjustments.
Second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen. Assuming no other discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Kemp.
Yes. We've got multiple budget movements going on here, so. All right. Why did our budget director to present the next couple three?
And I have the slides and the Office of Finance and Budget for Troy County Government. And I have resolution number 6-2024, number 21. And this is a resolution to amend the 2024 General Road and Bridge, Social Services, Capital Projects, wastewater utility, jail enterprise, and fleet fund budgets. Whereas some expenditures and savings have arisen during 2024, which were not anticipated in the budget. And whereas there is fund balance carryover available, and whereas the Board of County Commissioners hereby determines and declares that the adoption of this resolution is necessary for the preservation and protection of the public health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of Teller County, Colorado. Now therefore, be it hereby resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, Colorado, that budgets be increased as follows, and I will summarize by fund. For the general fund, $383,795. Bridge fund, $147,900. Social services fund, $274,129. Capital projects fund, $115,000. Wastewater utility fund, $10,683. Jail enterprise fund, $91,100. And the fleet fund, $213,267. And taken from the following sources. In the general fund, $382,795. Road and bridge fund, $197,900. Social services fund, $274,129. Capital projects fund, $115,000. If we got right, $115,000. Wastewater fund, $10,683. Jail enterprise fund, $91,100. And the fleet fund, $213,267. And any increases to the 2024 expense budgets be appropriated for expenditure adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, Colorado, this 18th day of June 2024.
Good, in general terms, you explained what this budget adjustment.
Absolutely. As we were looking at the 2024 budget, it became clear that a lot of the accounts were a little out of whack. where they had maybe too much in their budget or not enough in their budget in order to reflect what was actually going on in the past 5 years or so. And so we went account by account and lined those up to more accurately reflect what we expect to actually be spent. Some departments, their net effect was a decrease in the budget, and that some departments, the net effect was an increase in the budget.
One question, Mr. Chair. Sure. But since it's a little different than what we've done in years past, because this is a review of, the past 5 years. Our directors and electeds, I'm assuming they've been briefed on all of this before it's come to us. There's no surprises here. Thank you.
Sort of a truing up of historical use of being compared to what's actually truly needed and what should be expended in those departments, so. Any other discussion? All right, we'll open this resolution number 20 up for 21 up for public comment. Any public comment? All right, hearing none. Gentlemen, what is your choice on this resolution?
Chair, I make a motion that we approve resolution number 06/18/2024-21. That being a resolution to amend the 2024 general road and bridge social services capital products wastewater utility Gila enterprise and fleet budget funds and have it attached to written minutes in order to show the detail of the budget adjustment.
I'll second that motion. And Mr. Chairman, what I have one comment. Sure. I'd like to make, I just like to thank Vicki and Violet and staff for doing this. I mean, we've said a lot as we go through budget sessions that, tax money that's taken from the taxpayer, if it sits, in a fund without intent, but without being expended, then it either has to be accounted for and reallocated in a way that's going to benefit citizens, or we have to give it back, which is what we did with property taxes this last time around. We gave a significant sum back. So I appreciate the fact that, we have, within this, not what the total of it is, when you go all the way through, and just on quick math, about $600,000-700,000, of total funds here being reallocated in a way that's going to be more productive. And I appreciate you doing that, very much in line, I think, with what the commissioners have been trying to do. So thank you.
Concur.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next up, we have roll call. Please.
Mr. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes. Thank you. And our next one, item 6 on our agenda.
This is resolution number 06/18/2024, number 22. And this is a resolution to amend the 2024 general road and bridge, social services, capital projects, wastewater, jail enterprise, and fleet fund budgets. Whereas some expenditures have arisen during 2024, which are not anticipated in the budget, and whereas there is fund balance carryover available. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners hereby finds, determines, and declares that the adoption of this resolution is necessary for the preservation and protection of the public health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of Teller County, Colorado. Now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, Colorado, that budgets be increased as follows, and I will again summarize by fund. General fund, $366,325. Road and bridge fund, $26,714. Social services fund, $2,675. Capital projects fund, $161,355. Wastewater fund, $840. Jail enterprise fund, $8,030. And the fleet fund, $3,876. And taken from the following sources. The general fund, $366,325. Road and bridge fund, $26,714. Social services fund, $2,675. Capital projects fund, $161,355. Wastewater fund, $840. Jail enterprise fund, $8,030, and the fleet fund, $2,876. And any increases to the 2024 expense budgets be appropriated for expenditures. Adopted in regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners, Teller County, Colorado, this 18th day of June 2024.
Thank you, Violet. And if I'm not mistaken, some of these were changes that we were involved in making decisions on some expenses and approvals and also truing up some liability insurance costs. Anything else that should be explained?
That sums it up.
All right,
And Mr. Chair, if I may,
sure.
just like to point out this because this is additional spending over and above what was originally approved in the budget. Couple of things in here is an increase in the ammunition budget for the sheriff's department because of now having a full roster and the training that's required for that. It's not only important that they have the ammunition to conduct that training, but then also because of this thing called the war in Ukraine and evidently the war in the Middle East is that ammunition is harder to get a hold of. So they did ask for permission to buy ammunition when available rather than so buying in larger batches basically. So this is authorizing that. The other piece in here for the sheriff's department that I wanted to point out, and Commissioner Campbell was there for a demonstration of the system, but there's a new spike deployment system. As everyone is probably aware, if they don't start in Teller County, high-speed chases go through Teller County. And the previous way of stopping those are to have spike strips, which require an officer or a deputy to run right up on the roadside and deploy a spike strip right as the car is coming by. It's an extremely dangerous maneuver, not only, for a deputy, but also for those in the area. Because if they try to swerve to avoid those spike strips, they could hit a deputy or hit residents who are perhaps pulled over because of the chase going on. This one is one where they can preset it on the side of the road. Commissioner Campbell was there to see it, but from what I saw is that they go set it on the side of the road, then they back off. And it's triggered remotely, so the deputy is not in danger. They can time it, and it's pretty cool. It shoots out. We saw the video. It shoots out across the road, and then the car drives across the spike strips, and then it automatically retracts, so that any vehicles following emergency vehicles following first responders, they will not hit those. It's pretty cool, and so we have authorized a significant outlay to acquire those, and 100% to keep our deputies more safe and our community more safe. And those are kind of the biggies out of that department, but I did want to point out because it is new spending.
Yeah, and it was actually, like, as you mentioned, I was there, it was pretty effective and it was pretty cool to see. I mean, people were 50, 75 feet away from where the road would be. And we practiced on a couple sets of deputy cars where the tires were, due to be replaced that day. And we just went ahead and punctured them. And I think both cars that we did it on, 3 of the 4 tires got punctured instantly and immediately retracted. And it was a very effective process. We did on road and bridge property out by the garage. And I think John over there and road and bridge were present and they pulled up and immediately switched the tires. And since they were going to be replaced anyway, it was pretty effective in the whole system. Let alone we're improving the safety, which is the issue when it comes to doing road trips. So with that, we will open this resolution number 22 for budget adjustments to public comment. Hearing none, gentlemen, what would be your choice on this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve resolution number 06/18/2024, number 22, a resolution to amend the 2024 general road and bridge, social services, capital projects, wastewater, jail enterprise, and fleet fund budgets, and have it attached to the written minutes to show the details of those budget adjustments.
Fix the budget on the last. I second the motion, sir.
All right, assuming no other discussion, roll call please.
Mr. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes. And we have
Say that 3 times.
agenda item number 7, another budget adjustment page.
This is resolution number 06/18/2024, number 23. And a resolution to amend 2024 general road bridge social services conservation trust, Joe Enterprise, and fleet fund budgets. Whereas some expenditures and savings have arisen during 2024, which were not anticipated in the budget. And whereas there is money budgeted for personnel contingencies in the budget, And whereas the Board of County Commissioners hereby finds, determines, and declares that the adoption of this resolution is necessary for the preservation and protection of the public health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of Teller County, Colorado. Now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, Colorado, that departmental budgets be increased as follows, and I will summarize by fund. In the general fund, $10,138. Bridge fund, $5,994. Social services fund, $2,497. Conservation trust fund, $399. Jail enterprise fund, $12,290. And fleet fund, $9,001.
900, wow,
Sorry, $901.
thank you.
Sorry about that. And taken from the following sources: general fund, $10,158. Women bridge fund, $5,994. Social services fund, $2,497. Conservation trust fund, $399. Jail enterprise fund, $12,290. And the fleet fund, $901. Any increases for the 2024 expense budgets be appropriated for expenditure for 2024 departmental budgets. Adopted at the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners of Teller County, Colorado, this 18th day of June 2024.
Thank you, Violet. As you can see from the details, most of this had to do with our workers' compensation insurance plan. Some pluses and some minuses, just truing up the expense lines per department. So I think it was the smaller numbers and pretty straightforward. If you gentlemen have any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
All right, we'll open this agenda item up, number 23, for public comments. Any public comments? All right. Seeing no public comments, what would be your choice on this last budget adjustment?
Sure, I move that we approve resolution number 06/18/2024-23. That being a resolution to amend the 2024 general road, bridge, social services, conservation trust, jail enterprise and fleet fund budgets, and have it attached to the written minutes in order to show the detail of the budget adjustment.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. Assuming no other discussion, roll call please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes,
Thanks, Bob.
thank you, Violet. All right. Since we're still within our time limits. All right, next up, we have finance, our presentation of 2023 audited financial statements. Report from the auditor, I think is also included in our packet here. We had a work session with audit folks the other day, so Vicki is here to summarize and present. Somewhat differently than others. I mean, times we've had the auditor actually come to the meeting, but he came to our work session and we spent an hour or two with him the other day. It's up to you now.
Vicki Caldwell, Finance Director, and I'm gonna pass out the final copies with a couple of changes.
We just got in, we had those. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And just so you know, after these are presented to you, they will be posted on our Teller County website. And you will have, they will be emailed out to all elected officials and department heads. And if you want, public once they found a copy, all you have to do is contact the finance department and ask for it. There's only minor changes in the bound copy from what was presented to you by the auditors and myself on June 11th. And I mean, it's just a couple of minor changes that you all requested in the wording. And we took a column out on the spreadsheet that the auditors did things like that. No, nothing that affected the bottom line. So now that you were talking about 2024, we're gonna go back to 2023. So I'm presenting the 2023 financial statements and audit reports for 2023. The most important things I think to look at are, if you're looking in the balance sections, we have the management's discussion and analysis, which gives like an overview of the financial statements. We also have notes that start on page 17, which also talks about the way that we produce the statements and some other information overview. And to me, the most important pages are actually pages 5 and 7. 5, 7, 9, 11, and 12. Because those actually give you a bottom line perspective of where the county stands. Page 5 is been translated into a more to more like private company financial statements, whereas governments use governmental funds, fund accounting, and a lot of people, citizens don't know how to look at that. So Valerie changes it into 5 and 6, actually change it into more looking like a financial statement you would see in a corporation. If you look at page 7, it has balance sheet for all of our governmental funds. And then if you look at page 9, it actually shows you all the revenues and expenditures for the whole year of 2023. And at the bottom, it says fund balances at the beginning of the year and fund balances at the end of the year. And as you can see, our fund balances actually went up in the governmental funds. And part of that is in the capital projects fund. A large portion of that is in the capital projects fund, where we're saving for some large expenses that are coming up quickly. The auditors also include several pages in the financial statements. They state that in their opinion, our financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of all activities. They also produce a separate viewpoints document, which is this document right here. That basically just kind of summarizes some of our responsibilities, some of the auditor's responsibilities, how the auditors accept, etc. They issued us an unmodified opinion, which is also referred to as a clean audit. And we continue to maintain our low-risk auditee designation. After this presentation, we have a certain number of days to submit all of this to the state and to the federal website. We will meet those. And then everything will be posted on the website and have bank copies there. Any questions for me?
Sure.
Just for our members of the press, so, you know, when we get this, as Bob said, as the chair said, we spent 2 hours on this, we're always looking for how do we do. And in these kind of reports, you're not going to get an excellent or fair. So the clean audit that she just mentioned really should be interpreted as our house is in order. You know, so that's how we husband resources, like Eric Stone said before. As long as a taxpayer, how we look at federal funds and husband those and state funds. And just having brought to you, Vicki, and your entire team, because it's a lot of work. And we've seen these folks before, and they're sort of a no nonsense auditing group, they're going to call it like it is. And so the previous thing we just did for 40 minutes trying to move funds around, that's exactly what we do all the time with you guys. And so thank you very much. Clean audit doesn't say what I'd like to say. I think you did excellent. It feels good to know that our house is in order. We're doing the right thing for taxpayers. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may, sure. Yeah, and thank you, Vicki, and we went through a work session earlier, late last week to review these with the auditor. And as Commissioner Williams said, clean is as good as it gets. There's no other word that they use that is, and I guess auditors aren't in the business of praising people. They're in the business of determining whether or not what you're doing is clean or not clean, and varying different visions of not clean. But once you get to clean, there's nothing better to get to. It just says you've got good processes, that you're following established guidelines. And so congratulations on the clean audit. I do want to point out also, as part of the audit, there was a single audit performed, which is required anytime. And it's not that often that Teller County has to do this, although with VHS funds coming in from federal funds requires that anything over $750,000, or not anything, but any gross total of $750,000 in federal funds requires a special audit just for those funds to ensure that we're complying with all of the rules in regards to those funds. And again, they found in their words, I'll get back to it here on that page, that there were no compliance or intent or there were no compliance or internal control over compliance findings identified. And again, so really neutral language to say that we're good. As Commissioner Williams said, so you know, the federal dollars that we're receiving, whether those flow directly from the federal government or through the state government, we are you know, we're in full compliance with all of those. So great job to all the departments for that, because that's, you know, you're ensuring that what they've done is correct. You've set up the systems for them. So again, good work for you, but then also good work to our directors that deal with those funds. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. No
Thank
other
you.
questions.
And not to be repetitive, but just going through some of their descriptions of what they looked at and what they don't look at, and obviously there's plenty of other language amongst that. But in some of these sentences, I see statements like all funds and activities were classified properly, all expenses have been classified properly, all expenses were treated in accounting principles, no instances of fraud, no instances of items that were occurred that were not treated properly. No incidences of abuses or changes, no incidents of internal controls to the extent they look at it, because their charge isn't always internal control, it's financial reporting. We just, time after time, they talk about no instances of findings, no incidents of et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, multitude of times, and 60 or 70 declarative statements there. And I just like to throw out there, thank you, Vicki, thank you, Violet, and the rest of the accounting staff and administration for all their leadership in this process. We're all involved in audits and discussions with the auditors time and time again. And they actually privately discussed several times that we just don't see agencies and governments that do things the way you do. They were very happy, because from an auditor standpoint, it makes their job a lot easier than saying, wait a minute, you got this problem, you got this problem. And even though those can sometimes be completed and fixed and explained, they were very happy not to have to do that with our audit. And this auditing company works with lots of local governments and counties across the state. They're very professional, and they dig where they need to dig, and where they don't find things, they don't waste their time. So I'd just like to say thank you so much for all your work, because I know this is a months-long process. They come in the fall and do some sort of pre-audit and findings and collection of data, and then in the spring, they come for a week here at the organization, and the amount of information that you guys provide them electronically is much different than it used to be in the old manual days, where they dug through paper by the pounds and pounds. So it's electronically provided for them, but fabulous job. Overall, it's an unqualified audit, which in the auditing world means no changes, no misstatements, no declarative problems, and officially it becomes a clean audit. Once again, because Teller County has quite the history of having clean audits over the years. And thank you so much for all your efforts, and you and your folks in your department very well. And it's much appreciated to the standards and excellence that you guys expect out of all this reporting and all this compilation to produce this maybe half-inch thick book of lots of details. I trust you not, or I trust you complicitly. Some of it is good reading, but you have to be in that mode to be able to read through this. I've read through almost every single page of it. It's fun to see a clean result, so.
Thank you.
And one other comment, Mr. Chair, sure, kind of unrelated, but kind of funny. Those who don't believe that your phones are listening to you all the time. So we had this long work session with our auditor, with our finance team, going through this earlier in the week. And since then, my YouTube feed is popping up videos now of towns facing financial scrutiny, shall we say, over random. Well, it's just purely random, you know, they pop up these videos about towns in Illinois where there's incredible corruption and, you know, misuse of budgets and audits and I'm like, yeah, they're listening, but it also, what it really does is it drives home, that, yeah, there are places where it isn't clean. And here in Teller County, again, congratulations for, setting up good processes. And, one last comment also is one of the things that the auditor pointed out is that they put a lot of pressure on our finance department because their job is to get the answers fast to all the questions that they have. And they did say that your department was, very responsive, which isn't always the case with a lot of organizations out there. And so anything they needed clarification of, additional, information on, they were able to get it immediately. And they were appreciative of that, and so are we.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vicki. And just to end for the press again, we're gonna put it online today, so. There's more transparency in what we do in Teller County, so thank you so much.
Believe it or not, if you're up late at night, it is a good read. And I know that's weird, but that's the way I'm financially, so.
It will definitely help you go to sleep.
We open this up.
There's no action required on this, right, Mr. Chair?
No,
That's the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
thank you so much. All right. First, 8 items, all financial. We get to go into our on the road job, so to speak, or public works. To consider approval of the Teller County Public Works Transportation Division annual road maintenance and improvement plans.
Hello, I'm Brad Shaw, Public Works, Private Public Works. John.
Thank you, Brad.
There we go. So the road maintenance improvement plan hasn't changed this year a lot. We will be doing pretty much the same thing. We start with the gravel road maintenance portion of it. That consists of route grading with the graders, resurfacing with new gravel surface, dust suppressant with the mag chloride, and drainage with our culvert system. We'll start with the route grading. We have 448 total miles of non-dust suppressed gravel road in the route grading. 228 miles for higher travel roads, what we call priority roads. Those would be the roads that we will be grading when it gets dry and hot. We're just not really doing a lot of good out there, but keeping washboards at bay. So we'll only maintain them with 4 graders that only as they need maintained. We're not just gonna start at point A and end at point A. So we're going to go through the county as fast as we can with these 4 graders and only hit the roads that need it. The higher priority roads will probably be getting doubled up on just because of the traffic use. Service requests, we will take a look at them, make sure that it's something that we need to turn and go to. If we have to, if not, they will wait. Dust suppressed roads will only get graded only by these operators if it's an emergency situation. We'd rather save that material, the product that we put on the roads with water. We have to have water on the roads and grade those. And that goes to the resurfacing. Gravel road resurfacing material will be added at a variety of roads sections for maintenance needs. About 2 miles total plan to be resurfaced this year. We've been doing that already, obviously with the snow. That's usually with 1 grader, 1 water truck, and 3 belly dumps or tandems. And also we'll contract trucking for this. We plan to do Pennsylvania Avenue, Lakewood Drive, Longbow Drive East, Fountaindale Drive, Divide South Drive. These are roads that we've had serious problems with mud and rocks this year. Dust suppressant material applied to any gravel road with 300 or more cars average daily traffic, about 36 total miles. We have 2 dedicated graders and 2 water trucks on this crew for magnesium chloride surface treatment. The drainage consists of culvert installation and repair, erosion control and repair, regrading all ditches that have been damaged from winter maintenance operations. We prioritize our drainage with safety, structural integrity, of roadway, erosion, and storm. Hard surface consists of maintenance overlays and repairs on our hard surface roads. Maintenance overlays this year is going to be some warranty work that we've had done with chip and seal last year. They will need to be, the company that done them last year has to come back in and redo them. Because something went wrong, chip seal is never easy. You gotta have everything just right to make it work. But it's an important part of maintenance on our asphalt roads. So they'll be back in to do County Road 42 from mile point 0 to mile point 3.73. County Road 1 from mile point 853 to mile point 13.44. County Road 11 from mile point 66 to mile point 10.71. Now, on some of these roads are gonna skip over. It's not just gonna be a complete overlay on all of them, because some of it, the sections are good and we don't wanna have to just spend money that doesn't need to be spent. So it's not gonna be a complete overlay over all that, but for the most part, it'll be most of it. Correct, Brian? Repairs needed. This is where we have to come in and cut out sections of the road and just redo the base due to the asphalt in it in smaller sections. We will do that with our laydown machine. County Road 22, 5, 51, 512, 42, 1, and 81 all have areas that have needed repaired. So that'll be consistent all summer. Bridge maintenance. We have 10 bridges in our road system. Bridges must stay in compliance with the National Bridge Inspection Standards and the National Bridge Inventory. Colorado Department of Transportation administers inspection programs for the bridges using a contracted bridge inspection consulting agency. We use those reports to determine the proper maintenance of the program. We've already got our report. Everything seems to be in good order, clean as the. So we're good. Winter maintenance, nothing different there. We plan to respond to every storm as they come. Each one is different. In and out snowplow service, all county maintained roads within 24 hours after the snow is stopped. Application of anti-skid material to the roadway is needed. Plan each individual storm event to provide the best service possible with current resources. Route operators have flexibility to deal with on-the-spot conditions. We want to make sure that they're not little robots out there. They know what's going on and they can get it done. We just let them get the job done and train them around. People teach them what they need to do. Additional coverage on level 1, level 2 roads, and dog roads and culverts and ditches, and just go out and sand if we need to. That takes us to road improvements part of it. This year we plan to reconstruct a portion of North Mountain Estates Road from County Road 1 to South Park Road, 4,640 feet. We're going to remove and replace 6 inches of the subgrade and then add 4 inches of compacted asphalt, aprons, and shouldering. This will be a contracted job. Should be done within, what, another month, man?
Well, construction is scheduled to begin on Monday.
And it'll be a 6 to 8 week project. Right away, I'm gonna let Brian take you through the right of way stuff, but we will be identifying the public right of way, assuring compliance with Teller County right of way design and construction standards for access as well as work performed in right of way by contractors. Acquisition of additional right of way and easements when needed. Record average daily traffic counts alternating between subdivision roads, main roads every other year as time allows.
In addition to that, we have our traffic packages continuing to replace 1/10 of our traffic control devices this year. 1/10 of our street signs. We're still continuing phasing in of installations of intersection control signing, stops and yields at all 3 and 4 intersections. Repair and replace damaged, missing object markers as time allows, as well as delineators. and mile markers.
Then the other projects, of course, that we'll be doing is usually like every other year, the GASB 34, that's when we have to go out and conduct inspections of a third of all the following assets in order to comply with federal regulations. Roads, street signs, regulatory signs, culverts, guardrail, alley guards, bridges, tunnels, and trails. And that is very time consuming to do that, but we have to as well. Grant applications, whatever would be needed from us on grant applications. We're always looking at grant sources that can be utilized to aid our road system. Future improvement projects are in the planning and engineering phases in preparation for the 2024 grant season for funding in 2025. OEM logistics, if we have emergencies, we're going to help them. During emergency situations, we'll provide support when asked by the OEM. This support includes equipment and manpower. Any questions?
Sure.
I know we'll all expand a little bit, but I'm glad Fred's here. I just wanted to thank all three of you, Fred, for your leadership, and Brian, Brett, thank you. We, just again for the press, we had a very lengthy discussion on this. It's a great plan. You know, I like the picture on the front because that's part of what we talked about. That's one of our newer graders. You know, it replaced a grader, I believe, Fred, that was 40 years old. So part of what we would ask the public, and I imagine Ross, we're going to put this online as well. And I know Eric will probably talk about instructions and a few things, but this will be online. So we'd ask for forbearance when we have to do the chip seal, or if your road's not on there, you'll see there's an element of fairness to it. We spent a lot of time talking to our county on was making sure we've adjusted the pay, making sure that we get enough people, we get new equipment. And I know there's some creative work going on now to try some different things in Teller County in terms of training and how we do things. I want to personally and publicly thank you, Brad. I was going down my road one day and I saw you conducting grading training. And I think you were hanging out at the grader with a young kid in there. And so this stuff is tough. This is dangerous, you know, as we saw in the winter storm. And I would just say that those storms in usually wet early spring really led to some serious erosion on the road. So you guys are playing catch up. But it's these guys in front of us today that are actually out there doing the training, walking the ground, training young kids. And a 21-year-old kid is not the same as someone your age, men of a certain age, let's just say, 30 years experience. And so commissioners are aggressively working with these guys in a positive way to put some more money into the section, maybe look at some training opportunities and trying to get to more of our roads. And again, as always, we would ask our people, read this plan that's online before you call. Remember that they're trying their very best, you know, with all the culverts, with all of this and every rainstorm. Right now, you're racing monsoon before it gets here. You know, so I'm very proud of you guys. I publicly tell you that. So, thanks, Mr. Chair.
Kind of agree, Mr. Chair. If you would, just start to see a little bit of ripple in social media about road construction signs starting to go up, Glen Rock and County Road 11. I'm assuming that's related to the warning work that you guys were pointing out earlier, or what are those signs?
No, actually, I seen those signs late yesterday and I've got a note on my desk called fossil beds. It's got something to do with the fossil beds. It was Infrastructure Reinvestment or something act. And yesterday's first time I seen it.
Okay, yeah, there were some questions about what that was related to. I didn't know if that was the warning projects that you had there, but I just want to re-emphasize with folks that and I want to thank you guys for the accountability that you're holding our contractor to. This is not additional funds that the county will be expending. This is warning work from the contractor we hired last year that did those the chip seal overlays. That it didn't meet our standard, so we brought it back in, showed them what the problems were, and they're going to be redoing the work. So it's going to be you know, another summer of some issues, so keep speeds down as they do this work, because there's going to be a lot of aggregate that gets laid down on top of that, you know, that oil tar mixture that they do for chip seal. And so if you don't slow down and you don't keep some space, you're going to end up with some broken windshields. And so just take care of that. And sorry we're having to put residents through that again, but again, our responsibility is to ensure that the assets are in good condition and with ultimately, I don't want to say the substandard work, but the substandard result. Because as you mentioned, there's a lot of different variables that go into whether or not a paving project is successful or not. And when you're at 9,000 feet and with the temperature variations that we get, during the day and night, it can make what looks like a good application go sideways pretty quick. So, but I appreciate that you guys are holding them accountable and just focusing care out there this summer as they begin that warranty work.
If I can add on just a little bit, that warranty work is tentatively scheduled for July 17th through 20th. Like I said, Colorado, North Mountain State Road is scheduled to begin Monday. I sent that contractor schedule to the homeowners association last night. So they have that information as well, and that will be getting posted on our website today.
Excellent. Thank you, Brian.
I'd just like to emphasize, even though you have said it, the chip and seal warranty work isn't being paid for by the county. The contractor is doing that based on the warranty that he gave us, and we won't be spending additional hard-earned road and bridge funds to do that. I just want to emphasize that. Another thing I'd like to point out is that dust suppressant dust, which obviously wasn't in the PowerPoint, but it's in the big plan that will go online, consists of like 50 different segments of roads throughout the county where our travel on those roads have met the threshold, and or the dust that is presented by those roads will have those mag fluorides. And like I say, there's roughly 50 roads on that list that will be getting the mag chloride dust suppressant applied to it. Just gonna take out of the notes here I was gonna talk about. I like the tagline, the last one on your PowerPoint is responding to emergencies. We didn't have any of that this year, did we? Obviously, our big snow event required lots of response by these guys, and they worked day and night for at least a week trying to get that and get our citizens in a safe position where they could exit the road. And, you know, including something that we rarely do, we contracted some contractors in our area to help with some of those roads that aren't county maintenance roads, they are private roads. But we realized we had citizens that were stranded and their own resources within their subdivision weren't big enough, weren't capable, they broke, they intended, they weren't able to do it. So we expended some funds throughout that big winter storm ourselves to do roads that we normally don't do. And it shouldn't be expected that that happens on a regular basis, but when emergencies happen, we respond and do the right things for our citizens. This is a very good document. I plead with everybody to read it when it gets online, and if you have copies here, you can have them. I appreciate all you guys' hard work. I know it's sort of a summary presentation. One of the things you didn't mention is public relations. I'm still assuming you're still open to going to X amount of homeowners association.
I'll get close with that.
Okay.
Yes,
Go ahead.
yes, if any HOA wants to meet with me, or if they would like me to come to any of their meetings, we will have somebody there to represent Public Works, Road and Bridge. We used to do a lot of it. I can see it's gonna have to start happening again because people can't understand why they can't get their roads graded right. And you have to explain it to them, and if I need to come out, I will explain that to the people and let them know what we have on our plates. You know, transparency is what we're about, and we have nothing to hide. We're doing the best with what we got. I'm glad to tell people what we have.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, when you do that, and we all talk to HOAs as well, let them know that we approve this, and so don't take any heat if they're not on this list this year. Obviously, you're gonna get to them for emergencies, you're gonna get to them after monsoon, but this is the priority based on the tax base that we get. And so I don't want you guys to take heat for something that we're approving. They can call us, but before they complain or if they have questions in a positive light, they'll just read this. There's so much goodness in here. You know exactly when you guys are gonna hit. To Eric's point, the stuff that was substandard last year, we're going back, we already know that. So just ask again for the president, just forbearance for our guys, a little bit of grace for guys that are out there working in this county heat all day in the dust. So I appreciate you. We'll stand there right with you if we need to, but appreciate it. Yes, sir.
And along those lines, obviously, we're still short a few people in the operating world. Folks that can work graders and some of this equipment. If you know people that are looking for a job and have some talent in this world, please contact the gentleman here and or through HR. We could use a few more people. I think we have several openings still. And as we get those openings filled, obviously our efficiency improves. And we have less overworking of our staff, because right now we're on that border where we overwork our staff trying to keep up with our standards. And these guys do have standards that they like to produce and have their roads and conditions. And sometimes it just comes down to, we don't have enough employees and enough bodies on staff to be able to accomplish the work in the way we want to do it. The work all gets done, but the timeliness helps if we're full staffed. Please mention it to folks and neighbors and friends and relatives that we could use some employees when it comes along those lines. And we've worked our best to make sure we're paying them a good living wage in this world, and anything can help as far as the employee base goes. And we'll assist with the training and talents that are needed to make sure we get the right type of operators out there and it's done in a safe and efficient way. Because some of this stuff is in a dangerous world where it takes a lot of efforts and expertise to be able to do it the right way, to make sure our public's safe, to make sure our operators are safe. And it's a challenge right now, so I appreciate you bringing this to us, and if anytime you're open for questions or information, please get in touch with these folks or get in touch with us, and we'll make sure we get answers and get you on the right way. Explain to them circumstances we're dealing with, but we're doing our best. And with that, it's not really an approval process, but I will open this up for public comment. Is there any public comment on our annual road plan and improvements plan for 2024 as we move forward here? All right, hearing no public comment, thank you. Thank you. We don't have an acceptance, so.
Thank you, John. Approval. It's on the agenda.
Is it approval? Yeah, I get it, I'm sorry.
Sure, make a motion that we approve the Teller County Public Works Transportation Division Annual Road Maintenance and Improvement Plan for 2024 as written and as presented.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. Assuming no other discussion, roll call please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams? Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir.
Made it to our agenda times reasonably well. Our 10:35 item is our second reading and adoption of the Teller County Ordinance number 22. Mr. Pickleman, if you want to get into this.
Sure, I can handle this item, Mr. Chair. So on May 24, this ordinance number 22 was first introduced and was read in its entirety on the record. And at this second reading, we can refer to it by its title. We won't read the entire ordinance again. It has been published in Pike City Courier at least 10 days prior to today's meeting. And the way this has been drafted is that it can be adopted upon this second reading in reference to the title. And that is pursuant to CRS section 30-15405. You can have it take effect immediately. So then that will have the ordinance in effect prior to the effective date of Senate Bill 24-131. And so in front of you today is the second reading of Teller County, Colorado ordinance number 22, a Teller County ordinance to protect the right to carry firearms in sensitive spaces in accordance with Senate Bill 24-131, which is the official title there. I did check with Mr. Evans prior to the meeting. There has been no submitted public comment to county admin office. We should open it up for public comment again today at this meeting, and then board discussion, and then have a motion to approve the ordinance as presented.
Do you gentlemen like to explain anything specific, or are you good with what's carried?
No, I'm at Eric Boyd, something I just would ask Ross, since we're going to be able to adopt it today as well, that we release a press statement, or a press release to the papers as well. I've had inquiries about this, Paul, to your point, not formal, public input, but folks quote wanting to know what the county was going to do about this. So I think that press release would be key, so that people know that they're protecting them. Eric,
Yeah, the only thing I would add, just as we communicate with our public, is that we're doing this to maintain the status quo in Teller County. It's always been that we respect people's Second Amendment rights and their right to concealed carry as they move about their daily life. And there are a few places either under federal law or under state law where that traditionally they've not been able to, like schools and federal buildings. That being said, county buildings has always never had any restrictions outside of the courthouse. Its own separate order in regards to the security of that building. But there is one area that we don't have any authority over that was in that bill, which is colleges, which would include private colleges, which in this case would include Karis Bible College, that under state law, and we have no authority to countermand it, is that they are saying it is no longer legal to conceal carry on the grounds or the buildings of Karis Bible College. Also, child care centers, so like daycares and nurseries where people take care of their kids, that's new. So if you're going about your daily life and part of your daily life is going in and picking up your kids from a daycare center, the state legislature has deemed you to be a criminal if you were to do that. So I just want to tell people to be cautious. And the good news is we do have a sheriff who is going to help protect people's rights while he enforces the law. And so we just need to be, I guess, smart and not demonstrative about our daily activities. I mean, concealed carry is concealed for a reason. It's because you know and nobody else knows. So we're doing this in order to make sure that we've taken all of the liberties that we can under the law to ensure the status quo is maintained under our authority, which is county buildings and property. And it was important that we did this quickly. So I want to thank Paul. I want to thank Ross for getting this drafted and in front of us, properly published. Thank you, John, for your work in getting this properly published. And as part of that press release, I think we do need to let people know that we don't have authority over the colleges or daycare centers. So those do fall under that new statute that people need to be aware of.
In the areas that this does specifically point out in the ordinance, it's where the Board of County Commissioner meet and or have their meetings, specifically the Centennial Building, the Commissioner's meeting room, offices of the county board, anywhere that we shall meet is what we're accepting at this point, because that's what the law allows us to do. There's some more specifics in the bill, but those are generally the categories that we're exempting us from the safe spaces, sensitive spaces as it's written. That's all the additional comments I have. At this time, I take the opportunity to open up the ordinance 22, Teller County ordinance to protect the right to carry firearms in sensitive states in accordance with Senate Bill 24-131. Is there any public comment on this? By any chance, do we have anything on my John? No, sir. Okay, thank you. All right, hearing none, we'll close public comment. Gentlemen, any other discussion required?
No, I guess the only question I would have for our attorney for you, Paul, is there any requirement for us to inform the state or the other counties with transition through Teller County or out of, let's say, an El Paso person comes to our meeting? Is there any kind of requirement order?
No, I mean,
Just put it online.
the publication, the adoption and certification by the clerk and recorder and publication and reporting, that's a matter of public record.
With that, Mr. Chair, I would move to approve on second reading ordinance number 22, the Teller County ordinance to protect the right to carry firearms in sensitive spaces in accordance with SB 24-131.
I would second that motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, gentlemen. Assuming no other discussion, roll call, Ms. Keys.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Sorry.
that's all right. We're essentially all equal, so no problem.
Then at a certain age,
That's
start right here.
I'm catching.
Then now we have to read it, Paul.
No, just the reference to the title that I did at the beginning was fine, and so it's now approved and adopted, and take care of signatures after. And Pat, that copy, there's gonna be a little bit of change on that. I'm gonna add a certification for the clerk and recorder, and then that will get recorded later, so.
Well,
Yeah, what was just handed to you is not gonna be the final.
Language won't change, but the certifications will.
Okay.
All right, I think that completes our regular commissioner items for hearing process. Now we move to our commissioner business item, which has been in flux over the last couple of weeks. So thank you, Mr. Evans, for your patience and diligence in making sure we get this list correct. It's been plus a few times here, so. Mr. Herzog, we're up.
And thank you, Attorney Herger.
For adding everything.
Item number one is consider approval of the professional service agreement with Digicom Electronics. This is an agreement to remove all county radio equipment off of the Rocky Mountain PBS tower site and install the reusable equipment along with new microwaves, conventional channel gateway, the CCPW, and standalone backup repeater on the core tenant site and tower with connecting with fiber installed by another contractor to the state site on Badger Mountain. Digicom Electronics will install standalone backup repeaters at Tenderfoot 2 site and Gold Hill site, along with CCGW at Gold Hill site. Contract amount was $160,000. This went through our CIP process, and this was requested as a redundancy in case of emergency from our OEM. So
essentially, Ross, is this, we no longer own equipment that they're installing, so we're taking our stuff off? They're putting commercial grade stuff on, is that how I read it on the subject matter part?
I'm not 100% on that.
That sounds like.
We rented from PBS.
Okay.
We're putting some new equipment on the new tower and replacing some of it and transferring some of it.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
The original CIP was for 315,000. Some of that has already been ordered. We got a couple pieces yet to be ordered. I went through this yesterday with Jessica, our deputy OEM. But those are going through accounts payable, and they've been approved through the CIP. So the 160 is just for the contractor doing the work on most of the install and movement of those products.
So essentially, just be improved capability, safety.
Backup.
Yeah.
That's great.
My understanding, if I remember back when we originally approved this, it was for better access, number one. The access of one of Badger Mountain, this ABS tower was an issue, and there was a safety issue there. But then also, I believe also the more consistent power availability to the core tower, which makes sense, it's an electric company. But their tower has more consistent power as well. So that was kind of those two issues. And then if we were gonna be redoing the equipment, they wanted to move it to the safer and more reliable tower.
Correct, yeah, over time, just accessing that site is problematic, so the more you get out of it, the quicker we'll recoup the cost of this, so.
And at this point, the expenditures that are listed on that page 15, it's only the $160,000 that the contractor, but it does list some other things. Like I mentioned, we are requiring those, and there is a little bit of buffer in that, because when they move some of this stuff, they may find some issues and some pieces and parts that need to be added, so there's still some flexibility in these contracts. Okay, with that, John, what would be your choice on this PSA?
Chairman, I move that we approve the professional services agreement PSA with Digicom Electronics as presented with any modifications requested by the contractors and by the county attorney.
Second. Thank you, gentlemen. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stone?
Yeah.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Moving on to number 2 is consider authorizing the Director of Human Services and the Director of Public Health to sign a memorandum of understanding for the collaborative management program, the CMP, and Families and Community Together, FACT, and Interagency Oversight Group, IOG. So this is whereas in the Colorado Revised Statute, it authorizes the County Department of Human Services and Social Services to enter memorandums of understanding with specific agencies for the purposes of promoting a collaborative system of local level agency oversight groups and individualized services to support teams to coordinate and manage the provision of services to children and families who would benefit from integrated multi-agency services The first page, you'll see the first 9 of the mandated partners, there's 2 more carried on to page 2, and there's also some non-mandated partners, so 15 groups are part of this, it's been around, and yeah. No question or concern on it.
If I'm not mistaken, in the olden days, this was called the wraparound process. Where we collaboratively put teams together to help citizens and clients in need.
And this is, you're just authorizing both our directors for public health and DHS to sign this.
Questions?
The old days was a long time.
Sounds good.
When the statute was written, it was actually labeled as a wraparound process.
Mr. Chair, I would move to authorize the Director of Human Services and the Director of Public Health to sign the memorandum of understanding for the collaborative management program, CMD Families and Community Together, FACT, and Interagency Oversight Group, IOG, as presented.
Second motion, Mr. Chair.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Moving on to number 3 is consider consent to the appointment of the following individuals for Deputy District Attorney. Madeline Savaji, Marshall Garrett, and Cynthia Thomas. All 3 of them have successfully passed the bar for Mindy Coulson, who is the Executive Assistant, Colorado Sports Judicial District Attorney's Office. Got an engineer on one of these.
Yeah, and then I did double check that they've all been admitted as well, and the bar numbers, and I'm sure they're probably in court right now. Down in Colorado Springs.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
No, sir. Your motion to consider consent.
Chair, I move that we consent to the appointment of the following individuals to Deputy District Attorney, Madeline Silvagi, Marshall Garrett, and Cynthia Thomas as presented.
Second?
Thank you, gentlemen. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Moving on to number 4 is consider approval of amendment number 1 to Master Tech Order number 23 FAA 00049, extending the contract to June 30th, 2025, and adding additional funds. This contract purpose is the district public health agencies shall participate in assessment and planning effort at the state, regional, and local level facilitated by the Office of Public Health Practice, Planning, and Local Partnerships. These efforts shall be included maintaining and improving local capacity to provide services, establishing by the State Board of Health, so very specific description on that one. But if you do look on contract amendment number 1, which is page, the flip side of the document, the funding amount amended to have federal funding of $18,118 and state funding amount of $124,396. So that's for July 1 of 24, carrying into June 30th of 25 would be $142,514. The current contract maximum cumulative amounts, if you're adding the previous years, would be $360,841.
That was going to be my only comment, and you covered it, but the number on the first page is last year's number, and on page 4 is this year's amendment, so. Gentlemen, what would be your choice in this task order?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve amendment number 1 to Master Task Order number 23 FAA 00049 as presented. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams? Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Moving on to number 5 is review and approve deeds to clarify ownership of lots 1, 2, 3, 7, and 8 in Highlands of Divide, filing number 3, and I know that Attorney Kirkham has done all of the things.
Well, I've worked with Mr. Clifford, and then if you remember Steve Elak, long time. Gentleman professional work for title searches. He has semi-retired, but he was able to act as a consultant on this to help us clean up these lots over there in Highlands of Divide. I believe Commissioner Williams was kicking around when you were in the planning office, and so.
And your predecessor.
So we have finally wrapped this up. I would have, so I'll describe what they are and then, ask for a motion to, sign the three quick claim deeds that we have here, and then the county will receive the fourth deed, from DK Enterprises. So then that cleans up all the properties out there, and gets that off this list. So the first one is, lots 1 and 2, Highlands of Divide, filing number 3. This is gonna be a quick claim deed from the county, through the Board of County Commissioners to PK Enterprises, Inc. A little bit of background on that, from the first filing to the third filing, there was some reconfiguration of the lots out there. And this just really makes sure that county property is properly held by the county, and PK Enterprises, that private entity, properly has the owns the lots, that it owns out there. So the second one is going to also be from the county to the Board of County Commissioners. And this is lot 3, Highlands of Divide, filing number 3, a quick claim deed from the county to Divide Townhomes LLC. The next one is lot 7, Highlands of Divide, filing number 3. And this is from the Teller County Facilities Corporation. So going back to the entity that was formed when the jail was built, this Facilities Corporation still is entitled to that lot 7. We want to clean that up, get that to the county itself. And so then, that will be signed by Commissioner Campbell as the president of the corporation. And the chair sits as the president of that Teller County Facilities Corporation. Then we will coordinate with PK Enterprises to sign the last one, and that is where PK Enterprises, Inc. quick claims lot 8, Highlands of Divide, filing number 3 to the county. And Mr. Clifford has already talked with Mr. Kuiper. He's reviewed the deed and is ready to sign that. The plan would be to get them signed and then record them all sequentially with the recorder. Try to get that done as soon as we can.
And these are all the properties on the southwest corner of that intersection, if I'm not mistaken, right?
They are.
This doesn't really have to do with the development across the street.
Correct.
Or wastewater per se.
Correct. It's, it's in that area by the sheriff's office and jail. And then lot 7 is actually where the waste management, equipment or building is, which will tie into the next item on the agenda. That's lot 7 where the county has leased, that lot for improvements only to waste management. Clean that up to get facilities out of it. Back in the day, facilities leased lot 7 to the county then sublet a portion of that to waste management. We're gonna get facilities out of the mix, it's just gonna be a direct lease between the county and the waste management. So,
Great, I appreciate the time and expertise on all this, because this has been hanging out there for a while, obviously.
10 years in the making.
I just had to do it longer than that.
Yeah.
First to 84. One off the list.
And questions, gentlemen?
No, so just clean up, much appreciated, all the hard work there.
All right, good choice on this assignment and assumption.
Let's go ahead with 5 and have a motion on the approving the deeds to clarify the ownership.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's wrong.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the deeds to clarify the ownership of lots 1, 2, 3, 7, and 8, and Highlands Divide, filing number 3 as presented.
Second. There being no other discussion, roll call please.
Mr. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Then on the next item, I can handle that as well. So this, we talked about lot 7 is where the lease is to currently the waste management. Waste management is in discussions to sell, their operations to, Apex, and the official title of that is Materials Management Company, LLC. They have approached us and asked if the county would agree to the assignment of that lease, the assumption of all the obligations they are under by Apex, Materials Management Company, LLC. They have a scheduled closing on their transaction for July 1. I always joke with my corporate partners that they set a closing date and then it moves 5 times. So that's the approximate date they want to close on it. And one of the pieces that they want to have for the closing of their business transaction is knowledge that this lease will be signable and that the county has agreed to let the new entity come in and continue to operate that. All of the other terms of the lease are remaining the same. And I use the opportunity for this assignment to also clean up the fact that it's no longer Facilities Corporation that's the lessor, but the county is the direct lessor of this property.
So we had a good briefing from the potential new owners. And the question, I think this is the initial step. But they'll come back with some proposals, and we have some proposals, things like twice a year picking up junk and rubbish from ground, tires. So this won't hurt that effort. This is just the initial step, get them closed and come back and negotiate.
Correct, and then remember, start at the end of next year, end of 2025, the county has the ability to terminate the lease with a 2-year notice. If you decide to stay in the lease, it goes to 2045. I believe, no, 2053, I believe is the full length. It's a 45-year lease, so it goes to from 2008 all the way to 2053. So that point in time gives the county a good opportunity to sit at the negotiating table.
And they were very open to this. Thanks, Paul.
I do have one question, Mr. Chairman. Now, obviously, this is just the assignment and assumption and the agreement, which is not here. It's not part of this. Within that agreement, your understanding, since it's county property being leased to a corporation to conduct waste transfer operations, is there anything in there about, was it previously a requirement by Waste Management as that lessee to accept waste from outside sources, whether that be residents or additional companies that might be doing, dumpster companies or others? Is there any requirement that they accept waste outside of what they themselves collect? Do you recall, or is that something maybe we need to look at as we're looking at that?
Yeah, I didn't see anything there with a requirement. They accept that from people not their customers or outside entities. So I would put that on the list of things to talk with them.
Yeah, my only concern, and it's not just with new management coming in, is I want to make sure that we continue to have a centrally located waste transfer station where whether it's companies or residents are able to, if they don't have regular garbage pickup or they utilize a dumpster company or something like that, during a project, that they have a place for those to go, so we don't end up with them in our forests.
Yeah, I remember talking about that at the work session. Right. So I would make sure to clarify that with them in the discussions going forward.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the question I have.
Yeah. No further questions.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would move
To probably approve that just as considered.
right. So approve the assignment and assumption of agreements between Collier County Waste Management of Colorado Incorporated, and Materials Management Company LLC as presented.
Second motion, Mr. Chair.
Roll call, Ms. Keys.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes. All right,
I think so. No additional matters were received after agenda deadline, sir. So
the original, that's right.
Wasn't joking, I had a few more things for you.
All right, that, unless there's anything else to be brought in front of us, I have 11:02, we will adjourn until the Board of County Commissioners.